2 Ezra 6:27. For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, which has been so long without fruit, shall be declared. Call halal Yahweh Bashana Shai by Hashem Rakakadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, among the heathens that look like the heathens, and to the Akwath that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you another lesson in truth. And came across a couple TikTok videos that I do, and well, one of them I'm about to use now. The other one, Yahweh Ratazah will use it to edify later. I mean, constantly collecting data and information and videos and things, images from brothers and subscribers, and just to edify the body, to do the work of Yahweh Basham Shai. The Lord said, if you love me, feed my sheep. That's our number one job, is to prophesy and feed the flock. All right. And the woman on the screen is Dr. Jacqueline Battalore. She's an attorney, professor, former police officer. And I'm a huge fan of this woman, of her work. And I truly believe, just from watching her for years now, I believe this woman is one of those scattered, Israelites scattered among the heathen that looks like the heathen. I mean, it could be a Psalms, 64:8 moment. Matter of fact, let me read that since I mentioned it. But with her, I don't think so. I think she truly is one of the scattered. But it reads, so Psalm 64:8, so that they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves, all that see them shall flee away. So Esau's in this spirit, and we're in this time frame of them telling on themselves. And it could very well be a Psalm 64:8, and the main tool that the Lord is using to expose Esau Edom is his women. Most of this information that's coming out, that's exposing whiteness, the lie of whiteness, and how it was created, has come from women. Women revealing that history. All right, so I'm gonna play a quick video. I'll just play it over the phone. It's a TikTok video.
I mean, Africa is close.
So hold on.
So then they tell you.
Yeah, get the sound right. And we'll just let you listen to it. All right. It's literally maybe about 2 minutes long or so. And because this video is definitely going to have to be done in parts. Because there's a lot of information that she gives up in that. Because I was actually going to go to one of her older videos when she shows you in law when they created whiteness. And they made it up. All right. Whiteness was made up. There was no such thing as white people prior to 1681. All right. They made it up, and then and this whole white superiority doctrine was created around this newly found thing of whiteness. Because truth be said, no one's skin is white, and they know that. All right. So it's a whole doctrine of lies and false pseudoscience and privilege that came behind this new thing of whiteness. All right. But we'll get to that. So here we go.
Knowledge is power. Caribbean, a huge dust storm from the Sahara. How did the dust from the Sahara reach the Caribbean so quick? That means Africa is closer than they tell you.
Definitely.
Question everything. Everything is a blasted lie. I had an auntie that worked for the airline, Air Jamaica to be specific, for many years. And right before she retired, the pilots told her, direct flight to Africa is only 3.5 hours from Barbados. So why we have to go to Europe?
So what that means is that they're lying on the maps. Because it's right. There's no way a dust storm in the Sahara would reach Barbados. All right. That means it has to be, Africa is a lot closer. So the maps that they use are even designed to support white superiority and make places where so-called white people lived larger than what they really are. Okay?
Africa. Those blasted witches. Why they send us to Italy and London and Europe? Forgot. We have all your song.
So what she's saying is that it should be a direct flight from Barbados to Africa, but you have to go to London and you have to go to Europe first. And that's just a straight up lie. You don't have to do that because it's a lot closer to the Caribbean than the map show you, is what she's saying.
Africa, so. You have a question on that? Yes, my beloveds. 3.5 hour flight. That's what the pilots told us. Directly from Barbados.
Saying the map is wrong?
Oh dear, yes. Now look at Greenland.
Okay.
Now look at Africa.
Okay.
The two land masses appear to be roughly the same size.
Yes.
Would it blow your mind if I told you that Africa is in reality 14 times larger?
Damn.
Yes?
Here we have Europe, drawn considerably larger than South America. When it's 6.9 million square miles, South America is almost double the size of Europe's 3.8 million.
Alaska appears 3 times as large as Mexico, when Mexico is larger by 0.1 million square miles.
Germany appears in the middle of the map when it's in the northernmost quarter of the Earth.
Wait, relative size is one thing, but you're telling me that Germany isn't where we think it is?
Nothing's where you think it is.
Wow.
Where is it?
I'm glad you asked.
It's only 3.5 hour direct flight from Barbados. Is it something I don't want us to see over the sea? I currently see they are making money, currency, off of our ignorancy.
Yes.
So get with it. Question everything. This is a time of revelation. You know, see what I go on. That's where everything you learn and start relearn.
It looked like this before. How many of you have ever seen this map?
Seen that map?
Isn't this the map that you use K through 16 in the United States of America? Now, folks, look at this map. According to your social studies teacher, what is the equator? An imaginary line where?
Yeah.
Around the center of the Earth. Then if this map is correct, then the equator must be here, and Chicago has a tropical climate. Now,
That's
folks,
not
this
true.
is the map that we use in the schools. Look where the United States is, in the middle of the world, right? Now, here's the USSR, which is no more, of course, Mongolia, China, Africa, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan. Now look over here. USSR, Mongolia, China, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan. Two Indias here. We have 2 Indias. Did you know that? Now, people, this is a flat-out lie. Look at the size of Greenland and the size of South America. According to your social studies teachers, what were continents? Largest land masses on the face of the Earth, right? Now, do you know the continents? Africa, Asia, Australia, Antarctica, Europe, North America, and South America. Did I say Greenland? Well, Greenland isn't a continent, but it's a huge landmass according to this map, right? The map is a flat-out lie, people. If you read the legend on the map, here it says, in fact, South America is actually 9 times larger than Greenland.
So there's white superiority on display. Deception and lies. All right? Deception and lies.
Now, look at this map. The equator on this map is down here. All the white countries are larger than they should be, and all the countries of people of color are smaller than they should be. This is a visual image that teaches children a lie. Knowledge is power.
So let's grab some scriptures, and then we're going to play a little bit of this video that's on the screen. This is Job 9:24. One of the first scriptures you learn when you wake up. It says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? All right. So he covered up the faces of the judges. He covers up the truth. All right. He even changed. Matter of fact, he even covered up the races. The Bible, you know, there are only 18 races in the Bible. You know, you go to the book of Genesis, the 10th chapter, it gives you 16, and then you find the other 2 a little later. I think it's in either 12 or 13, which are the children of Lot. Ammon and Moab became the other 2 nations. All right. So that's 18 nations in total. All those nations are still here, but yet, you know, you've got all these different names. As a matter of fact, let's go to Psalms 49 and 11. They got into power and they renamed everyone and everything. And then they created this color thing. All right. This is Psalms 49:11, and it reads, "Their inward thoughts is that their houses, their races, shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own name." So they renamed the land masses, the ones where they lived and the ones where the heathen lived. Because why? The earth was given into their hands. All right? The basis of men was set up over the earth. The wickedest and the lowest were elevated because the greatest people broke the law and sinned and brought our power to anger, and he put us down low and put the lowest people on the totem pole. He put them in charge. And look at the earth, the condition of the world as a result of it. This is Daniel 4:17, and it reads, "This is a matter by decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and set up over it the basest of men." This lowest thing created has been given power and dominion over the earth. All right? So let's begin with this video.
Hello and welcome. This is your host, Enrico Imanalo, here with another episode of Intentionally Act Live. With me today, I've got a very special guest. This is Dr. Jacqueline Badalora of St. Xavier University in Chicago, where she is a professor of sociology. In the course of her career, she has not only penned Birth of a White Nation, the invention of white people and its relevance today, but for a time, she was actually an active duty police officer. More on that later. Also joining me today is the former chief of police in Moulton Borough, New Hampshire, and our director of partnerships at All Aces Inc., John Monahan, whose work includes understanding whiteness and healthy manhood in addition to racial equity. So welcome to you both.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. And so, Jackie, before we really jump into our questions, the first kind of thing we do to set the scene is to ask all of our guests, what made you fall in love with what you do?
Oh my God. Well, learning about the truthful history, which was radically different from what I learned formally in school, was life-changing. Absolutely life-changing. Literally, the world I inhabited was much different than I thought it was. And there's truthfully not a part of me that has not been changed for the better because of it.
Oh, thank you. So, John, I know that we've had you host the show a number of times. We've had you join us as a guest a number of times. And so people have kind of learned a little bit about your background and how you got into racial equity. But what is it that really kind of, got you thinking about the culture that we're living in, and especially that connection to healthy manhood?
Yeah, I think, I got into police work because I was like, if there are people being harmed or oppressed, then someone needs to stand up for them. That was really what I got into it for. And as I found out, similar to Jackie, that there's a different truth for some folks, a truth that we're not taught or shown. I felt lied to. And so, and I was like, well, that's not going to stand, And so my work really became, well, what is the truth? And we're supposed to be truth seekers. We really are. And so, I felt as though it was my job, my duty to find out what the real truth was. And if, in finding it out that certain people were being oppressed, left out, harmed in some way, then it was my position, especially as a white man in this world, to use my voice and my privilege to speak up and to show people things that they might not normally see.
Yeah, thank you both for your answers. Thinking about that theme of truth, one of the things that strikes me about white supremacy culture is it kind of sets us up for this idea of there are some people who are like really or truly American, and there are those who are not. So I think it's pretty obvious that you can see that I'm of a different race. And growing up in New Hampshire, where John currently lives, I certainly felt that quite a lot, right? So I would be surrounded by classmates, very innocently kind of saying like, well, my connection is so real to this country because my ancestors came over on the Mayflower, right? And these kinds of things. And
white superiority, what they say without saying, that it's okay to rape, rob, and steal and take something. Even though they won't use that verbiage. But it's okay if your forefathers, if you do that and leave it for your children and the generations after you, that's okay. All right. But then they come so hard against anyone else who may have those same ideology if they're not benefiting from it. Hypocritical.
So I learned to kind of dread those projects related to family trees and connected to, how American are you really? That's kind of like the subtext in a lot of school.
Because they didn't come over here and discover anything. They love to use that terminology. They came over here and they stole my people's land and erased and changed our heritage. And then they took my people from the west coast of Africa, who were refugees in Africa, not from Africa. They conveniently leave that part of history out. All right, that they actually came from what the world refers to ignorantly as the Middle East to the west coast of Africa. They conveniently leave that portion out. And they brought them over here and made them build the land up for free that they took from us.
Assignments that I certainly encountered. And so we've kind of got this question, right? So this aspect of our culture is in so deep that we often don't really understand that that's what we're doing, right? But so there are a lot of people out there that might unknowingly hold this view that to truly become American, you have to give up parts of yourself. You have to fit into something. And so growing up in school, that was often something like, well, I need to be eating certain foods that are American. So like peanut butter and jelly instead of having rice and some meat and vegetables at lunch, for example.
Yeah, now you fat and full of inflammation. Let's jump to the 5:28 minute when Dr. Battlelord begins to speak.
If we have this assumption affecting things in our real lives, then it also affects us in the workplace as well.
Absolutely. I'm happy to jump in on that.
Sure.
It's so rooted in a history deeply planted. Literally, the very first Congress of this country, they had to, of course, craft all the laws of the new nation, and they determined that in order to naturalize a U.S. citizen, a person had to be white.
Exactly, and so they created whiteness in 1681 in Virginia, which eventually spread to the whole world. All right, this is something that this is why they don't want critical race theory taught, but it's not theory when it's history. It should be called, as my channel was called, critical race historical facts, because this is critical race historical facts. That's exactly what it is.
And so whiteness and citizenship in this country has been a clear equation established as a matter of founding law. And that requirement of being white lasted more than 150 years. Wow. So to just unpack that a little more, please. That meant that someone who was poor, but if they were white, they got access to citizenship. If they were male or female, but white, you got access.
That's how they got control over the masses. There was a rebellion against the elites in the 1600s. And in this rebellion, the so-called white people, as they're called today, were being just as mistreated as the Negroes, so-called, the natives, so-called, and the Asians that were here, so-called. They were all being mistreated the same. They were all in this dire positions and in low-level positions together. And there was a rebellion led by a white guy called, why is his name leaving me now? But it was a big rebellion that happened. And it's named after his namesake. And it's really pissing me off that I can't remember his name at the moment. But all the working class people and poor people banded together against the elites. So the elites, in order to separate them and never have that happen again, they created something called whiteness. And all of a sudden the people who came here from Europe that were pale in complexion were all of a sudden being referred to as white, and got certain benefits that the other people who had melanated skin, whether it be light brown as they will call yellow, because yellow is a derivative of brown, all the way up to the medium brown to the dark chocolate browns. So what happened was these miscegenation laws were created because a lot of women that looked like, Dr. Batalora here with her complexion, they were marrying melanated men. They weren't marrying white men, so-called, all right, at that time. Someone would even choose an indentured service status with these men, all right, or slavery to be with these men. Indentured slavery, all right, because everybody, because the North had indentured slavery, all right, and so the white male, to elevate himself, created all these laws which elevated him over everyone else, where he the other nations couldn't vote, they couldn't own firearms, they couldn't take a white male to court. It gave the white male power to do a lot of things, even if they were completely dirt poor. They now were part of a club, which made them important, and they ran with it.
If you were Jewish or Muslim or atheist or Christian or some other faith tradition, but white, you got access to it. So
see,
I think for me, that particular law, again, that lasted over 150 years, and that was this clear statement on the part of our founders that more than your intellect,
and this government was set up by them and still is still used in the same manner and still controlled by the sons of those very same men. And they kept true to a lot of the traditions that was set up. Nothing has changed. They just hit it really, really well. All right. And then they set up, science and education to back it up. All right. Which is all fabrications and lies. Pseudo, meaning false. As a matter of fact, go to one of my favorite scriptures, 1 Timothy 6:20. And it reads, O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, and avoiding profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science falsely so called. So they created science to back up their lies. When they created all of a sudden you had Negroids, Mongoloids, and Caucasoids. That's pseudoscience. That's falseness. Because those come along with false and untrue scientific doctrines behind them. And then they also attach that to the Bible, which they also taught fraudulently. All right? Because the Negroid, the Caucasoid, and the Mongoloid got attached to Ham, Shem, and Japheth. All right? And then the doctrines that are connected to those via the education system connected to the religion. It's all a lie. This is Deuteronomy. Matter of fact, let me let her finish and then I'll read that Deuteronomy.
More than your caring and adhering to and holding up the principles upon which this nation was found, more than all those things, we care about you being white.
Mm-hmm.
So this really flies in the...
Wow. So forget morals and all that. It was all about whiteness because lots of morals get overlooked. I mean, how many movies do you see which were true life events where a person was completely and dead wrong, but since they were white, it really didn't matter because they were doing it to someone who was non-white. All right. This is Deuteronomy 33:29. And it reads, Happy art thou, O Israel, who is like unto thee, O people saved by the Lord, the shield of thy help, and who is the sword of thy excellency, and thy enemies shall be found liars unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places. And treading upon white places, treading upon whiteness is treading very high, because that is the most dearest thing and the most important thing to them. They cleave unto this lie, white power, white this. And as you can see, John Monahan, he's red. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment. They're not white at all. They're red because their blood shows forth through their skin. They're translucent. All right. You know, even Dr. Batalore, she's pinkish. Her blood shows forth through her skin. You make her blush, you make her smile, make her laugh, get her hot, her cheeks and everything, her nose turns red. Call halal Yahweh Basham Abashai, Basham Rakakwadash, Wa Abab Abal, Kwam Yasarala Shalom.